I'm Rochelle, and this is episode 150 of the Genuine Realtor Show, which airs every Friday. If you are in the market and looking to buy a home that currently has tenants in it here in Ontario, I'm sharing some things you absolutely need to consider before you make that offer. Ready? Let's go. I had some clients this past weekend who did purchase a home with tenants in place, and after going over all of the ins and outs with them, I realized this is something I should share with you. Right now, tenanted properties offer an opportunity to potentially buy a home with far less competition, but there are some things you need to seriously consider before you jump on the chance. Now, when it comes to tenanted properties, which means a home where someone other than the owner of the home is residing, there are some very important things to pay attention to. Right now, these considerations are amplified due to protecting tenant rights during the pandemic. Just as I suggested to my clients after we discussed at length what can happen when you agree to purchase a home with tenants, I encourage you to speak to a real estate lawyer about the ins and outs so that you have a full understanding of what you are agreeing to. But for now, these are things you should be aware of before you make that offer. So to start, you'll want to ask for vacant possession unless you are intending to continue to rent the property out. If you are planning on moving in and don't ask for vacant possession in the offer, which means the tenants will have left the home when the home is transferred into your name on closing, those tenants might still be there when you try to move in. Without a clause for vacant possession, you might inadvertently become a landlord, which has its own set of issues. If you're finding this video helpful or want to know more about real estate in the Burlington, Hamilton, and surrounding areas, please do like the video, subscribe, and click the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Now let's take a look at what would happen if you did not ask for vacant possession and you find out that the tenants will still be there on your agreed upon closing date. Well, to start, you'll now need at least 30% down, as this is no longer considered a primary residence. You may be lucky and have a lender who will do it for 25%, but for most buyers, this is the biggest problem. If you can't come up with your 30% down, you may not be able to fund your mortgage. And without a clause protecting you, you're now opening yourself up to potential lawsuits for failure to close. And situations like this are precisely why you need to work with a realtor you trust to protect your best interests and not based on financial incentives or promises. In this scenario, you'd also be required to accept the tenants with their current lease. This means you cannot bump up their rent or shift the terms of their lease agreement without proper justification as outlined in the Residential Tenancies Act. If you want to live in the home yourself, you'll need to give notice on the proper form and file it with the Landlord-Tenant Board, who helps solve disputes between landlords and tenants. There are a couple of forms that can be used here, but one is better than the other in this kind of situation. And of course, I'm here to help direct my clients in the way that will best protect them when purchasing a tenanted home. Another thing to be aware of is that evictions can be very difficult to process during the pandemic, and you may be in for a long wait before you can occupy your home. But ideally, you'll have set up your offer in a way that it puts the responsibility on the seller/landlord to take care of all of these notices and provide you a vacant home. And of course, this is only for personal use. If you are planning on renting out the property, you will need to go through the proper channels, and that's a whole other video. Now, this video is just touching the surface, and there are so many nuanced things to consider. If you are thinking of a move in Ontario or are considering selling your tenanted property, feel free to reach out. I am always happy to help however I can. Thank you so much for watching. Until next week, keep it genuine.